Hello, Math 30-1 students. Okay, lesson number 2 in polynomials. Okay, I'm a little too upbeat. I'll settle it down a bit. Okay, we're now going to be looking at taking polynomial functions and dividing them. Now, in past courses, you have divided polynomials by monomials, right? One term. And that basically went like this. If you have one term in the denominator, you can divide it into each term in the numerator. So that would look like this: 15x cubed over 5x minus 10x squared over 5x plus, last term, 5x over 5x. And when you simplify that, you would get 3x cubed divided by x, so x squared, subtract the exponents, and then minus 10x, and finally plus 1. Okay, so you've done that before, but what we're going to do now, actually before we do that, let me talk about this. The dividend, so a little bit of terminology here. The dividend is what you're dividing. The divisor is what you're dividing by. And the quotient is sort of like your answer, what you get when you divide those two things. Okay, that terminology is going to be used over and over again in this lesson. What we're going to look at now is we're going to look at dividing a polynomial by a binomial, so two terms. Okay, so in the above example, it divided very nicely. Okay, it doesn't always work like that. So let's think of if we had a number, 20 divided by 3. Okay, so if we went 20 divided by 3, how many times does that go in completely? 3 times 6 is 18. Okay, so it goes in 6 times. All right. Plus, there's a remainder, right? So there was a remainder, that's sort of like our quotient, and a remainder of 2 left over, right? 18. So the dividend is 20. The divisor, what we're dividing by, is 3. The quotient is 6, how many times it went in, with a remainder of 2, because it went in 6 times 3 is 18. How many more to get to 20? And that would be 2. Okay, and they've written that down here. So 20 is equal to 3, the divisor, times the quotient, plus the remainder. Okay, or you could write it this way. You could go the dividend divided by the divisor and the quotient with the remainder over the divisor. Really, it's the same thing. You're just dividing everything by the divisor. All right. So these two forms are going to be a couple forms that you're asked to present your answer in. Okay, so you need to know those. All right, so a student used long division. Haha, haven't seen long division for a long time, have we? Okay, to divide 739 by 35 and wrote the result of the division in 2 ways. So they wrote it this way, okay, and then also wrote it this way. Okay, use the student's method to divide 5,773 by 25 and show your work in 2 ways. Okay, so long division. Boy, this has been a while. What, grade 6 maybe? Okay, we're dividing 5,773 by 25. Okay, so 2 digits here, we need 2 digits there. So does 25 go into 57? It does, not nicely, but it goes in twice. 2 times 25 is 50. And then we need to subtract 50 from 57. So we'd get 7. Carry the 7 down. Okay, how many times does 25 go into 77? And that would be 3 times. 3 times 25, then we multiply that, 75, and again we subtract, leaving 2. Carry the 3 down. Okay, does 25 go into 23? No, it does not, so you'd put a 0 here, and then we have our remainder of 23. So, writing it in the 2 different ways, the P equals Dairy Queen plus remainder, you would have P, which is 5,773, equals our divisor, 25, times our quotient, 230, plus our remainder. Or we could write it in the P over D equals Q plus R over D. Okay, which is really just taking this original one and dividing everything by the divisor. Let me just show you that. See that? And then here your divisor goes. So you only have to memorize this one because you can always get this one from it. Okay? All right, so writing it that way, you'd have 5,773 over our divisor, 25, equals our quotient, 230, plus our remainder over our divisor. And there we go. That would be long division. And you're like, why are you doing it this way? Okay, tune in to the next page. Okay, you guessed it, long division and polynomials combined. Okay, so example number 2, they've kind of started some of these. Now, they've done it with a monomial. I'm not sure I would bother working through those examples. We have more examples of doing it with binomials, which is really the way you would do that. I mean, if you're dividing by x, are you really going to do long division for that? No, you're just going to divide each one by x like that, okay? Although that doesn't go into the last one. So I don't know, something to be said. Maybe you do want to do that, but it would just be x squared minus 5 with a remainder of 6. Okay, that would be, I believe, how you do that. Okay, so actually maybe I should check, just make sure. Yes, I was right. Okay, so let's not do this long division with the monomial divisor. Let's only do it with the binomial, okay? That's when it's actually necessary. Okay, now the process is very similar to when you use numbers. So you look at the first term of the divisor and the dividend, and you ask yourself, what do I have to multiply x by to get 2x squared? Or you could think, if I go 2x squared divided by x, what will happen? Well, I'll get a 2 and an x. So that's the beginning of our quotient. Myself, I like to line that up over here. That's just me. That way your x's line up, then your numbers will line up. Okay, now we have to multiply that to each term of our divisor. And we would get 2x times x, 2x squared, 2x times 2, positive 4x. Good. Now, just like before with long division, we need to subtract all of that. Now, I'm not a big fan of subtracting because I think a lot of errors happen when you try and subtract. So how about we change that to positive, the opposite. So add the opposite. That's the same as subtracting. Okay, and if we do that, we will get, so those will cancel, and that should always happen if you've done this right. Negative x plus, because we're adding now, right? Negative 4x will be negative 5x. Carry down the negative 18. And then we start again. We look at the first term here, the negative 5x, and the first term in our divisor. And what do I multiply x by to get negative 5x? And that would be negative 5. So that goes in our quotient as our next term. Numbers line up. Multiply that by each of our terms in the divisor. Negative 5 times x. Negative 5 times positive 2 will be negative 10. Then, once again, we are going to add the opposite. So you go through and change the signs. And those 5x's will cancel, and we'll have negative 18 plus 10, negative 8. There we go. That's our remainder. We need to write our result in this form. So our polynomial, 2x squared minus x minus 18, equals our Dairy Queen divisor times the quotient, 2x minus 5, plus, well, it's minus 8, so let's just write minus 8, but plus our remainder, which is a negative 8. All right, there you go. That is how you do it with binomial. We're going to practice more of those, so don't worry if you're not feeling it yet, because it does get better. The more you do, the better you get at it. Okay, let's look at example 3. Divide y cubed minus 6y plus 20 by y minus 3. Express your answer, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so here's a scoop. Let's set this up. So in here goes our dividend, so our polynomial y cubed. Now there's a little something here we have to watch for. Just like when you have a number like 7096, that 0 is a placeholder, right? So that, you know, the 7 and the 9 can be where they are. We need a placeholder sort of for our y squared term, okay? Because this needs to go down in descending order, 3, 2, 1, and then y to the 0, right? So as a result, we need to add in a 0y squared and then minus 6y plus 20. Okay, we need a term for every degree of y, starting at 3 in this case, all the way down to our constant term. Okay, all right, our divisor goes over here, and then we begin. Okay, now if you're ready to try it by yourself, then please pause the video and try it, and we'll see if we get the same answer. Otherwise, follow me through. So y goes into y cubed, and that would be y squared times, or in other words, y cubed divided by y. I'm putting y squared over here. Multiply that to each term in your divisor. Y cubed minus 3y squared. We're going to subtract, so subtract means the same as add the opposite, and we will get 3y squared. These terms cancel, of course. Bring down our negative 6y, and then begin again. Okay, so check out the first term. What would I multiply y by to get 3y squared? And that would be 3y, positive, put a plus sign there. Multiply it to each term, 3y squared, 3y times negative 3, negative 9y. Okay, add the opposite or subtract, so add the opposite of these, and those would go, and we're left with 3y. Bring the 20 down, plus 20, and do it again. What would I multiply y by to get 3y? And that would be 3, positive 3. Don't forget to write these signs, okay, even if they're positive. Multiply it through, we'd have 3y, 3 times negative 3, negative 9. Okay. Once again, subtract, which is adding the opposite, and we would end up with 20 plus 9, which is 29. And there we go. That's our remainder. Here's our quotient, and this is our divisor. So we would write in this form polynomial, so y cubed minus 6y plus 20 divided by our divisor, y minus 3, would equal our quotient, y squared plus 3y plus 3, plus our remainder over our divisor. And there we go. That would be our answer. Okay, let's see what's on the next page. Okay, so we've got another polynomial, p of x equals, oh, nice line, equals 1 plus 5x cubed minus 4x plus 6 to the 4. First of all, write the polynomial in descending order of the powers or exponents of x. You need to do this, especially if we're going to be doing our long division next. So highest exponent would be the x to the 4, so 6x to the 4, plus next highest 5x cubed, okay, then negative 4x, then plus 1. Okay, the sign goes with it. And there we go, descending order. Now, divide the polynomial 2x minus 1 by 2x minus 1 and write the result, yada yada. Okay, so let's set this up. Okay, anybody notice something as we're writing this down? We're missing our x squared term again. Where did x squared go? Okay, minus 4x and plus 1. So you need to put in a filler, basically, for that x squared term. And out here, we're going to have 2x minus 1. Okay, I want you guys to try this one. Okay, so pause the video, try this, see what you get. Hopefully we have the same value, okay? Okay, how'd we do? Did we get this for a quotient? This a remainder of 0 and a divisor of 2x minus 1. So writing it in that form, it would be our divisor times our quotient, 3x cubed plus 4x squared plus 2x minus 1 plus our remainder, which is just 0. Okay, and then part C says, is 2x minus 1 a factor of that polynomial? Well, if something's a factor, that means it goes in nicely. There's no remainder. So because we had a remainder of 0, therefore it's a factor. So you'd say yes, because the remainder, sorry about my messy writing, the remainder equals 0. And there we go. Okay, last one, let's fit it in before the video ends. Consider the long division, state the divisor, quotient, and remainder. So pause your video and then write the division algorithm, and we'll use the Dairy Queen one, okay? dq plus remainder. Okay. Okay, so divisor here, quotient here, remainder there. Okay, using the division algorithm, we can figure out what p of x would have been. So you take your divisor times your quotient, Dairy Queen, plus the remainder, so plus negative 2. And if you expand that and add the remainder, you will get this polynomial function. Very cool, right? And that's your original polynomial. One thing to note, we have x times x squared. We should end up with x cubed. As our degree, we should have degree 3 for that. All right, awesome. Lesson 3 is also part of this assignment. Please go watch the video for that now. Thank you.